Grand Slam season in tennis is kicking off this weekend as the Australian Open brings the best tennis players from around the world to the land down under.
So for a look at how things are shaping up for the Canadians and more is Matchpoint Canada podcast co-host Mike McIntyre. Second time in a week we're talking to Mike McIntyre. So Mike, good to see you again. We know Milos won't be there because he's retiring, but I'm thinking Felix, I'm thinking Victoria Mboko, Leylah Fernandez. What is the Canadian content looking like and how are they sort of favored in terms of going into the first slam of the year?
Well, hey, guys, and thanks for not making me do my hit outdoors this morning. I really appreciate that. The Canadian players are going to be preparing for the Aussie heat, which is obviously quite different than what we've got here. And you mentioned a bunch of the main contenders off the bat. We've got 7 Canadians playing in singles action. We've got Gabby Dabrowski, of course, playing in doubles too. And we're hoping that in a week from now, I'll be talking to you guys again, meaning we've got a Canadian who's still going in Melbourne for the first Grand Slam of the year. This is the first major tournament of the tennis season for those who aren't super familiar. And I'd say, you know, our best bet is Vicky Mboko, the 19-year-old that just set the tennis world on fire a year ago. She started 2025 ranked outside the top 330 in the world. So it's really an incredible story for her, how quickly she shot to stardom last season. She finished 2025 winning a title in Hong Kong. And she's picking up where she left off. She's in the finals in Adelaide right now of an Aussie Open tune-up. She'll play the finals tomorrow. And so obviously she's continuing that great success we saw from the Burlington, Ontario native. Nick, I'm sure she's making you proud being from there as well.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yep. And she's the top contender on the women's side for Canada. It would not surprise me if we were still speaking about her in a few days. On the men's side, of course, Felix Auger-Aliassime, the 7th seeded player. He's got a decent draw. I think we could see him make some noise. And a player who really last year consolidated on his talent. He's been a huge player for years for Canada. We've been waiting for him to break through at a major. Maybe this will be it for Felix. If he continues how he ended last season, that should bode well for the Montreal native for sure.
Yeah, and in terms of, you know, the other international kind of top talent players we've seen kind of repeatedly at the tournaments, Skinner, Carlos Alcaraz, what are kind of their chances going into the Aussie Open? And it seems to be there's, you know, on the men's side, it's been kind of pretty consistent for a few years, but on the women's side, I don't remember really hearing, you don't really have that kind of, you know, staple.
Well, and it's a great contrast between the two, I think, because like you said, on the men's side, it's the tried and true. It's Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, who after Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic, who, by the way, is still kicking around at the age of 38, and he's the 4th seed. Wow. But those two have really taken over, and they've won every major for the last 2 years. Will that continue? That's what everyone is predicting. There doesn't seem to be a third player to really challenge them yet. And if you're getting bored of that rivalry, well, on the women's side, it's wide open, I would say. You've got last year's winner, Madison Keys, who just got defeated by Vicky Mboko, actually, in Adelaide. You've got Aryna Sabalenka, the #1 seed. Coco Gauff, the still rising American. She's only 21 years old, but already the 3rd player in the world. And it's more open, it's more unpredictable. And I think women's tennis is kind of more fun these days because you just never know who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, that's certainly the thing, right? The depth in women's tennis, that unpredictable. We do have a sense it'll be Alcaraz, Sinner. It's certainly in the semis, if not the finals, Mike, depending on the draw. But yeah, the women's side is certainly interesting here. Are there any up and coming rising Canadian players that we haven't heard of yet, Mike? I know on Matchpoint Canada you talk to a lot of the rising stars. Any names we should be looking out for this year from Canada?
As if we don't have enough already with Vicky at 19 years old. But if we look a little further from that, on the men's side, we've got 2 players. Now, they aren't as young as Vicky, but they're in their early 20s. They both played college tennis in the U.S. That's Gabriel Diallo and that's Liam Draxel. And Diallo, unfortunately, is opening his draw against the #3, Sasha Zverev. So that'll be difficult. But, boy, he's 6'8", which, you know, Nick, I think would have given you and me a big advantage if we had that height on the court. And Liam Draxel's playing in his first ever major tournament. So very exciting for the 24-year-old. He's got a decent opening round match, so maybe he can win a round. And when you're that age and you win a round at a major, that's big-time money and big-time ranking points that can really set your season up for success.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Matchpoint Canada podcast co-host Mike McIntyre, thanks so much for joining us again. Have a great weekend.
Hopefully we'll see you next week, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, guys.